All right, so welcome to Divemaster, sorry, not Divemaster, welcome to Open Water Scuba. I was just thinking about Divemaster because I was introducing Maureen. And Maureen is a Divemaster currently, but she's finishing her assistant instructor. And part of the assistant instructor mission is to make sure that she gets more teaching experience. And so I'm going to be right here the entire time, but she just took over teaching the Divemaster Institute a couple of days ago. And I'm going to let her have controls of this, and I'll be right here to jump in if I need to. But let's just welcome Maureen as your instructor tonight.
Thank you. Very excited to be y'all's instructor for tonight.
And just speak up a little bit, Maureen.
Okay, sorry. I forget that it's quiet. Okay. Are we ready to start, or are we waiting?
Yeah, go ahead and put it into slideshow mode.
Is it? Is it not?
Nope. It's the little icon that looks like a slideshow, or you can go to slideshow. See the little menu at the top, slideshow? There you go. You got it.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. So you guys covered 1 through 4 in the last session. So tonight we're going to do 5 through 7. 5 through 7 is going to be a little bit more difficult just because there's dive tables in it. Did everyone have a chance to read through their book and kind of look at the dive tables? Yes? Okay, perfect. Yeah. So we're going to start here. Hopefully when we get to dive tables, it'll be a little bit easier if you guys looked through them. So in module 5, we're going to start talking about the diving environment. So what are you guys going to see down there? What is the life in the ocean in the springs? This module will start a lot on the ocean and not as much as the springs, but just keep in mind that, you know, your checkout dives, one of them will be in a spring. So
two of them will be in the springs, right?
Oh,
same
yes,
day.
2 of them. Sorry, same day, 2 dives, 1 day. So for module 5, we're going to talk about aquatic biology, potential dangers, conservation and preservation, aquatic conditions, and then boat diving. Okay, so for aquatic biology, let's see, we're going to talk about drifters. So those are going to be the bottom of the food chain. This is like krill, anything that you can think of that almost everything eats. Zooplankton, phytoplankton, which are little plant particles, and then zooplankton will be like the little animal particles. Algae, and then so kelp forests would kind of be with that. So they're plants, and everyone kind of feeds on those. And this is an example. We don't have those in Florida, but if you are on the West Coast, you'll see some kelp forests.
Yeah, they're only in cold water environments. Our water is too warm here. So I've had the pleasure of diving in kelp forests off the coast of South Africa, which is fun, but it was cold. It was really cold.
Definitely need a thick wetsuit or even a dry suit for that. So like I said, Western USA, California over there. And then like she said, colder waters. And these are a habitat that has a lot of critters. It has a lot of coverage, so things can hide in it and use it for protection against other animals that are trying to feed on them. So now we're going to talk about swimmers. These are going to be your great barracudas that are common in the Caribbean and here. We see these on Panama City dives a lot, actually. So these are going to be the bigger ones that swim around and eat the floaters. So grouper, Goliath grouper, you can see these off of Panama City charters as well. And they're actually really cool. Underwater, they'll make like a big boom noise and you can hear it from pretty far away. You'll know if it's a Goliath grouper. Like I said, they're huge. So this is a picture comparing a Goliath grouper to a diver, and that actually kind of looks like a smaller one. They get pretty big. So they're pretty fun to swim with. Now we're going to talk about reef fish. So these are a couple examples. You see there's a porcupine fish over on the right and then a butterfly fish in the middle. They're pretty cute. They're awesome to see around the reefs. There's some bottom dwellers, so scorpion fish and stonefish. They kind of look the same. The one on the left actually kind of looks like a batfish. Gabrielle, is that right? Maybe, maybe not. But we do see these in Florida on our dives as well, in Panama City. And
I'm so sorry, I stepped away. You were asking me about scorpion fish?
well, it kind of looks like a batfish. That's kind of what.
Not really. No. That looks much more like a rockfish or a stonefish.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Never mind then. But we do see these sometimes on dives out of Panama City. And
a lot, yeah.
We saw a couple stonefish out of Destin the other day too. So these you'll definitely see, and they're really camouflaged. So you have to be looking for them. I mean, they'll be on the bottom, but you might swim over them and not even see them. And that's the case with a lot of these ocean dwellers. A lot of them use camouflage as a way to protect themselves from other animals. So you got to have a good eye when you're diving in the ocean. So there it points to where he is in the picture. So sadly, there are invaders. So these were they in the Pacific and then they went to the Caribbean? Is that how that works? Is that what I was trying to say? Anyways, these really, honestly, they don't have any natural predators. So there's nothing out there trying to get them other than us when we see them. So we're actually taking a lionfish course very soon to learn how to best trap and get rid of these, because they're really harmful to the environment. And like I said, there's no predators. So they just kind of swim around and populate and just ruin the ecosystem. So like I said, these are lionfish, and you'll see these out in the Gulf. We have them now, and they're not native to the Gulf. They were released and then overpopulated, and since they don't have any predators, they just keep growing. Lots of crabs you'll see down there. They're pretty fun, very cute. Lots of different types of crabs, little hermit crabs. Spiny lobsters. We don't have as many up here because usually they're down more tropical, but I have seen one on a dive, so it's not impossible, but there's not a lot of them up here. Octopus, this is a picture of an octopus at night, and octopuses are actually very territorial, and the plural for octopus is octopuses. I know that's like a very controversial topic, but it is octopuses, and we do see these a lot in Panama City. And there's one wreck in particularly, the Red Sea, where one hangs out in the same porthole all the time. So when we dive that one, we'll show you guys if we get on that wreck. It's really cool. And then there's a couple at the jetties as well that kind of hang out around the same rocks. So they're very territorial, and they'll stay in the same spot. So once you find one somewhere, the next time you go back, it's probably going to be in the same spot, which is really cool. So next thing we're going to talk about is hydroids. These are colonies. So this one on the left is actually a man-of-war jellyfish, and they're very dangerous. They're very toxic. You definitely don't want to get stung by one of those. And if you do, seek medical help. We don't have them here in Florida. Actually, a lot of the jellies that you'll see in the Gulf are not stinging jellies. So they most likely won't hurt you. But if you see these, definitely stay away from these. And these are going to be more in those tropical areas, like I think Indonesia and places like that.
Actually, you'll also see them on the Atlantic coast. So I grew up in Satellite Beach, and they're pretty common on the Atlantic coast.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we don't have to worry about them in the Gulf, but you might have to worry about them other places. So dinner for the colony. They eat by trapping their prey in their tentacles and stinging it to death until it's immobilized, and then they pull it up to their mouth. So it's actually really cool. This is a picture of fire coral. Now, fire coral, it looks really pretty, but you definitely don't want to touch it, because when you touch it, it'll cause you to itch and break out and all of that. Stings, it burns, it's not fun. So best practice, if you don't know, I mean, best practice in general, don't touch the corals, don't touch anything. Keep your hands to yourself because you don't want to hurt anything. You don't know if it's living or if you're damaging it. So just try and keep your hands to yourself and then you won't get hurt. So these are a picture of fire corals with their back lighted. So when you bump into fire corals, all those little spines are getting stuck in your skin and causing skin irritation. So definitely not fun. They look scary. This is an example of what happens when you do hit it. They fire it and then it gets stuck on you and then releases all of that. So not fun. This is a picture of fire coral and you can kind of see the brittle star like interweaving itself through it in the middle there. Like I said before, don't touch it. Don't touch anything. Best practice is to just not touch it. And there are stinging sponges out there. So, you know, don't touch things. If you don't want to get stung or you don't want to get hurt, don't touch it. And also the benefit of not touching things is you're not hurting the environment. So potentially dangerous life. Sea wasp, they'll sting you and it's pretty bad. I don't know, has anyone been stung by a jellyfish actually? Maybe. If you're from Florida, probably, yeah. It's pretty common here.
Stung by a jellyfish.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It hurts.
It
doesn't feel anything like a sea wasp though, thankfully.
Yes, thankfully. Also, I know that it was an old wives' tale that you're supposed to pee on jellyfish stings. That is not true. Do not do that. It does not help. Most of the time, the boats will have a solution that you can pour on it, but don't pee on it. That's not going to help you at all. So this is a picture of sea urchins. We do see these in the Gulf as well. So you guys will probably see these and you have to be really careful around these because if you touch it at all, they're so brittle that it'll break off inside of you. And this is a night algae grazer. So they eat at night and they eat algae off of the corals and the rocks down there. So feeding fish, I believe that's a barracuda that's eating a fish out of a guy's hand. That's very dangerous. Don't do that unless you want to lose a finger or something. Let me see. So sharks, you will see sharks. I've seen sharks in the Gulf. Gabrielle actually likes to go down south and dive with sharks. I've joined her on a trip. It's a great time. They're really sweet. They're really not going to try and bother you. The one time I saw a shark in the Gulf, I got so excited that I scared him. So they're not trying to bother you. They really won't, I promise you. They're all really sweet and you will see them occasionally.
I call them the pit bulls of the ocean.
Yeah.
They're misunderstood and they're sweet, like puppy dogs.
They're very, very sweet. And like I said, like when I got so excited, I scared the shark away. But also when I was on the boat the last time, one of the dive masters was telling me something very interesting about sharks is that they can't differentiate the difference between our head, our top of our head, and where our bubbles start. So if they see you on an exhale and your bubbles are floating, they think that you're about 10 feet long versus about however tall you are. So when they see you and your bubbles, they stop from like the top of your bubbles to the tip of your fin. So you look a lot bigger to them than you think you look. So like I said, they're probably going to be more scared of you than you are of them. So let's talk about protecting our environment. Star coral, don't touch it. Like I said, don't touch anything. It is probably going to harm it. They feel really rough, but it can hurt it if you're touching it. So this is a picture of them touching it when they shouldn't be. Boat anchor damage. This is a picture of what happens when careless boaters just throw their anchors into the water wherever and hook onto corals. It'll damage them. And a lot of times that damage is irreplaceable. So they're not going to be able to come back from that. And then sadly, those corals will die. This is a picture of dying brain coral, so you can see where the living coral is versus the dead coral. And let's talk about your responsibility as divers. So in this picture, you can see that this guy's gauge is hanging a little bit low. That could potentially drag on a coral and harm the corals. So you want to make sure that you're streamlining your gear, you're not dragging anything, you've got good buoyancy, good form, trim, and all of that. The regrowth of star coral is super slow, like mentioned, so it takes a long time for these things to grow back if they're able to grow back. And we need to really take care of our fragile reefs. So this is a picture of star coral and all of that. This is a picture of bad anchor placement. You can see that it's wrapped around the coral, and that's really damaging them. And this line, this rope, and the chain is banging against a lot of other corals, so it's damaging that whole ecosystem right there.
And what else is wrong?
Yeah, not only is this anchor placement really bad.
Ask them.
Yeah, what else do you think is wrong with this picture?
The divers are like standing up straight in the water.
Yes, most definitely. So their fins are kicking those corals as well, and they're damaging the corals. So like I said before, good trim, good form, make sure you're always neutrally buoyant. You're not touching anything, you're not kicking anything, because whatever you're kicking, it's going to damage. So this is another picture of some damaged coral. You can see where it's been damaged and how dramatic it actually looks after it is damaged. So these are an invader to freshwater. And yeah, so let's talk about some no impact diving. So what can you do as divers to better the environment? As we've mentioned before, always maintain neutral buoyancy. Don't touch the delicate reef creatures. Avoid kicking sand on coral, so being neutrally buoyant. And then streamlining your gear is super important, so you're not dragging things across the corals and not even noticing. And then also become informed. Taking classes like this, you guys learn a lot of things that most people might not know, and the learning never stops. You can never have too much information. So I know Scuba Friends offers a lot of classes about fish identification and stuff like that. It's always better to go out and learn more about the stuff that you're seeing. So let's say that you're on a dive and you see some stuff and you want to know what it is. Take it upon yourself, go home and look it up. It's always a good idea, or even ask the dive masters on the boat, they might know. And then you're more educated and you know how to better handle the environment. There's no stupid questions. So anytime you have a question for anyone, there's no reason why you shouldn't ask. So we're going to talk about a few aquatic conditions. Diving in a new area, you always want to become informed before you dive there. So Gabrielle and I, if we're going to a new spot or a new location, we're probably going to do research before and see, you know, what kind of fish are we going to see? What are the conditions like? What is the water temperature usually? Becoming informed in a new area will make you more comfortable in that area, so that you're not going into it having no idea of what to expect at all. And then match conditions to ability. So becoming informed on it. If you find out that a site is usually very muddy and you're not super experienced with low visibility diving, you probably won't want to go to that site. And it's better to know that before you get to that site rather than driving, you know, like 2 hours or so to a site and figuring out that it's probably not the best conditions for you. And diving with a local or a dive master. A lot of times we'll have information for you. So if you're like, hey, I want to dive in a new place and I'm just kind of not sure where I want to go, just ask one of us and we can definitely give you a recommendation on based on what you want to see. A lot of locals will also know the area pretty well and know if there's any spots that are maybe not as well known. So, and then also check each competing shop. If you're thinking about diving at a site, call the dive shop there. Call the dive shop in the area and they can give you some good information on it. A lot of times when we're diving springs, we'll call the dive shops in the area and ask them reports on visibility, and they'll let us know how it's looking and what to expect if we're going. And then also, lastly, post on Scuba Friends. Scuba Friends is a great community, and everyone there is so welcoming with information. If you have anything you need to ask, everyone is so like eager to give you information. If you're looking for a new site, if you're looking for a dive buddy, everyone is so welcoming to do that with you. So freshwater diving, we've talked a lot about salt. So right now we're going to talk a little bit about freshwater. So lakes, quarries, rivers, all kinds of things like that. Sometimes you'll hit a thermocline, and then seasonal visibility shift. If it rains, that can cause a stir in the visibility, lots of other factors. So these are pictures of a couple springs and rivers and stuff like that. These are what freshwater sites look like. And freshwater sites, like I said before, there's not a lot to them. Like, you're not seeing a lot of corals and stuff like that. But the cool thing about freshwater sites is the rock formations are usually a lot cooler. So you can see there's at Blue Grotto, there's an open water cavern that you can go into that is super cool. And you have to be advanced to get into that, but it's super awesome. And like I said, you'll see super cool formations there that you wouldn't see in the ocean. So let's talk a little bit about ocean water movement. Winds and currents can affect the ocean water movement. So waves and surf, you'll have things like swells, wave height and length, wave train, and the surge. And we'll kind of go over these, but tides, you've got a flood tide, an ebb tide, and a slack tide. So with waves, the swells are going to be the actual waves. Wave height is going to be how high the wave is. And then the length is going to be the difference from the each top of the wave to the next top of the wave. And then surge is just any distance that the water increases. That's going to be a surge. And then for tides, you've got a flood tide, which is when it comes in super quickly. Ebb tide is a high tide, and slack tide is going to be your low tide. So overhead environment diving, this is going to be more of those freshwater dives. So the ones where we have the rock formations. In springs, caverns, caves, all of that. So to dive in caverns and caves, you do need a special certification. And I believe Gabrielle does not teach those, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't teach cavern. I definitely don't teach cave because I'm not a cave diver. I am cavern certified, so I can go diving, and as an instructor, I can actually bring people into an open water cavern or even into a cavern as an instructor, but I can't give you a certification for cavern. So I do have some very, very good instructors that I've taught, including Jonah, who is a very, very good cave and cavern instructor. So if you do want to take it further, I recommend you get at least 100 dives under your belt before you even consider taking it to the next level in terms of that, because it's definitely a safety thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, we do know a lot of really cool people that can teach you if you want to go that way. But it does take a lot of experience. And in my opinion, there's not a lot to see down there. So I don't know. It's for the rock environments. I think it's the rocks.
Well, there are some limestone formations for sure, but they're also eel, a lot of eel, like even at Morrison Springs and the open water cavern there are some. So
yeah, there's things.
You can see fish. We've seen them even in Blue Grotto at 100 feet deep. We've seen, fish down there, which is pretty surprising to see that, but you do.
Yeah, but it's nothing like ocean diving.
No, I agree with you. Personally, I don't have a desire to go like a mile back into a little hole. That's just not my thing. I come to see the pretty light and the pretty fish, and that's why I stopped at cavern.
yeah, very, very true. But like we said, if you do want to do that, we know some people that are pretty great if you want to advance that far. Now at Blue Grotto, there is an overhead environment that you guys will go in, but it's huge. it's like there's so much space you can have, like there's so much room. It's just you go under a rock, but it's, I mean, it's huge. You'll see when we go there, but just so that is an overhead environment diving. This is an example. It's a picture. And then there's boat diving. So charter boats and choosing a dive operator. Like I said, posting on Scuba Friends, you'll get a lot of information. So if you are going to a certain area and you have no idea where to even begin, you can look on Scuba Friends and just kind of post and be like, hey, I'm going down to South Florida. Does anybody have any charters they recommend? And you'll get some good answers. In Panama City, we use Panama City Dive Center, and they are wonderful. They're amazing. They're so great, and they always make it a great time for us. And you always just want to choose someone who you feel comfortable with. Choosing your resort charter. Pick season versus cost. So if they've been around longer, they're probably going to be better in a sense of they probably know what they're doing and they've been doing it for a little bit longer. So what are typical sea conditions? Typical sea conditions in tropical areas, you'll usually have more visibility and they'll usually be kind of shallower dives, but that really just depends. Are you diving inshore or are you diving offshore? Offshore dives can be definitely deeper, and to go deeper, you're going to have to get your advanced certifications. But visibility and conditions can be just as good inshore as they are offshore. Big boats or six packs. So six packs, by the name, I'm sure you can assume, those are boats where you have 6 divers and it's a smaller boat, and they're not considered like big dive charter boats. Sometimes on the big boats, you can have like up to 20 people. I'm trying to remember the most people we had on the boat.
So a lot of the big boats, including in the Keys, have 35 divers on them. Now, the boat we dive on in Panama City often has 35 allowed, but they don't ever load it that much. So that, you know, by Coast Guard standards, they're allowed to have 35 people, but they won't have more than like 17. So it's very much appreciated that it's not overcrowded like it is in many touristy places like the Keys.
And that's why we use Panama City Dive Center a lot, is because they're very respectful of like what we want. They're not just trying to make money. They're going to be like, you know, 20 or 17 is a comfortable number on this boat, and I don't want to overcrowd it, which is super great, super nice. So research and plan ahead. Look up where you're going. See if there's any dive sites that you want to go to. You can get a lot of this information online just by kind of figuring out what there is to look at there and kind of search around and see what the environment looks like. And then pick length of stay and see how much that costs. And what other activities are available. If you're going somewhere tropical, there's probably a lot of other things on the island that you might want to do. And kind of figure out what you want to do around your diving and see if there's anything else that you can stick in there. And then you have to decide if you're going to rent equipment versus carrying along. Sometimes it's cheaper to carry your own gear, but sometimes it's really not worth the hassle, and the renting equipment may be a little bit easier. Now, the only thing with carrying along your gear is that you're going to know how your gear works. You're going to be comfortable with your gear. With renting equipment, you don't know like who's used it, how old it is, those kinds of things, and you might not know like where everything is, so you might be a little bit more comfortable carrying your own gear along.
Maureen, when you say, go back, when you say what other activities are available, why do people need to know that? Why don't you ask the group and see if they got that from their readings, right? So let's go ahead and share if in your readings you learned, why would you need other activities besides just diving if you're on a trip where you took a plane?
So you have something to do while you're waiting till you're able to actually dive, and
Explain what you mean by till you're able.
because you have to wait a specific amount of time before you can actually dive from when you've been traveling.
No, it's the other way around. It's the other way around. So you can hop off a plane and immediately go diving, but after diving, you can't get on a plane.
Yeah, So you want to see what other activities, like even zip lining, you might want to be careful with altitude. If you're going to do zip lining after diving, you might want to make sure that you leave enough time between that. Yeah, definitely making sure that you're being aware of altitude and what you're doing. So if you, let's say you were island hopping, you would want to finish your dive and have a long enough surface interval that you can fly to the next island that day, the next day. However
so Maureen,
long.
why is that? Why do you need that time? What's going on in your body that you can't have altitude or get in a plane or anything? What's going on?
Well, do any of you guys know what's going on?
The nitrogen saturation is still like running through your body, so it needs 12 to 24 hours, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. So the nitrogen bubbles will expand if you do that. Same thing goes for if you get in a really, really hot shower or a hot tub. Very good. Yeah, I can tell this class read. This is great. By the way, you guys, I'm going to interrupt for just a moment. If you heard some dinging going on here, I was messaging Kimberly to ask where she was. And she was on a Disney trip and she's very sick and she's concerned she may have COVID. Yeah. And meanwhile, Randa is out as well because several of her coworkers have COVID, and she has several family members with it, and one is not doing well. He's not expected to survive it, and so it's just the three of you students. So you're going to have one-on-one ratios with your instructors and dive masters this Sunday. So I do ask that everyone get COVID tested, and you can do that. Do a rapid test at FAMU for free. Get it on Saturday if you can. If you get it on Friday, I ask that you isolate on Saturday. That way, if you're negative, you're not going to go and risk exposing. I appreciate it. And if anyone has concerns about that, now's the time to express it because there are only 3 of you, which means we should get through the skills really quickly because you're literally going to have like me, Maureen, Ronnie, maybe even Bill. There might be even more instructors than students in this class. So it's kind of like a private class. It really is.
Okay. So diving at resorts, you want to make sure that you're well rested. So don't go out and drink the night before. Drinking is going to make you dehydrated. It's going to make you cramped. It's not going to be fun. I know it sounds fun. And if you're on vacation, I know it seems like it's a good idea, but it's not. It's really not. You'll get leg cramps. You'll cramp. You'll feel.
But you also risk getting decompression sickness. Drinking and diving don't mix. Drugs and diving don't mix. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how experienced you are. Do not, under any circumstances, do any kind of mind-altering, medication, drug, or drink and go diving. Please do not do that.
Yeah, definitely not a good idea. Don't do it. Make sure your gear is arranged. So make sure you know where it is before and you had an idea of it. You don't want to get to the boat and then not know where anything is or know how to use it. Sign-in waivers, a lot of times, or every time, they'll have you sign in and fill out a waiver. And then at Panama City Dive Center, they'll have you fill out a waiver at the center. And then when you get on the boat, you sign a manifest as well. So make sure you sign all the papers that they need to do. Also, make sure you're on time. Honestly, I would say on time would be early. So get there 15 minutes early to 20 minutes. Make sure you know where you're going. And you get there with enough time that if anything happened, you're on time. Because if you're late, the boat is probably going to leave without you.
And most places require you to get there 1 hour in advance. 1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Except for certain islands where they run on island time.
Yeah. Do you get seasick? Because you should have plans on that. I know I get seasick, so I use the patch personally, works the best for me. There's lots of things. We have a girl that dives with us that actually uses a bracelet that sends like electrical impulses through her wrist on her pressure points. It's super cool. But that's the only thing that works for her. So she's tried Dramamine, she's tried Bonine, everything under the sun, and nothing works for her except for that bracelet. So if you get seasick, if you have a history, make sure you know what works for you and take those extra precautions. And like I said, sometimes one thing might not work for you. So if you take a Dramamine and you get seasick, don't knock out boat diving because there might be something out there that works for you. Are you taking cameras? A lot of dive boats have one bucket for mask and one bucket for cameras. And you want to make sure that you're very careful and you put your mask in the correct bucket, because the people who have cameras will be very upset with you if you put your mask in that bucket. We keep
I'm one of those people. I always have a camera. Please don't do that.
Make sure you read the bucket before you just throw something into it.
And if there's not a sign, ask them. Is one for cameras and one for masks? Which one is for masks?
Yes, always ask. So if you're bringing a camera, make sure you have things like extra batteries if you think you're going to need them. Make sure everything is charged. I would kind of make sure and play with it the night before just to make sure everything's working properly. Check your seals. If you're using a camera in a housing, make sure that housing is sealed. Check your O-rings. Make sure everything is tight so that you don't get on the dive and have something go wrong with it. And setting up your gear a lot of times we'll set up our gear right at the dock to make sure that everything is in working condition and we don't need anything extra. You want to make sure that, like I just said, make sure that everything works. You don't want to get all the way out to your site and have a malfunction that's not fixable out there and not be able to dive. That would really suck. And then lastly, enjoy it. If you're diving at a resort, you're on vacation. You're going to see some really cool things. And so enjoy that time. And hydrate. Make sure you're always hydrating. Every second you get, hydrate, because you're going to lose a lot of water and you're not going to realize it. So like I said, we set up our gear at the dock to make sure that everything is in working condition. So gear check is going to include making sure your cylinders are full, and then making sure there's no leaks and that everything is functioning properly. So let's talk about the dives. Always listen to the briefings. They're going to tell you before you go down there what to expect. And a lot of times listening to the briefings will give you a sense of comfort and knowing what you're getting into. Is there a current? If there's a current, you need to know which way, and they'll tell you this in the briefing as well. So you'll want to make sure if there is a current, are you going to swim away from the current first, or are you going to swim against the current first or with the current? What do you guys think that you would do? Would you swim against it or with it?
Against.
Yes. And why would we swim against it?
So on the way back, the current can just take you back.
Yeah, because swimming against it is going to be harder. So if you swim with it first, when you're tired halfway through your dive and you have to swim against it, it's going to be a lot more difficult. You're going to use up a lot of air. You run the risk of getting out of air, running out of air. So you always want to swim against it first and then ride it on the way back. So make sure you also talk about a dive direction with your buddy before you get down there, because as we know, you can't really talk underwater. Besides Gabrielle, she'll talk to you underwater. You'll hear her. So pick a direction with your buddy. Go over some things. Be like, hey, when we get down there, do you want to go to the bow side of the boat and check out that area first and then kind of come back? Make sure you talk about it before you get down there. And then also make sure you know your lines. There's a current line, a down line, and a trail line. And also be aware of how you're going to enter. Are you guys doing giant stride entries? Are you doing back roll entries? All of the boats that we go out of in the Gulf are going to have giant stride entries. And we'll go over those. You guys will get to practice them. But that's generally going to be the entry on the bigger dive boats. They're going to do giant stride. On some smaller personal boats, they'll do back roll entries because it's easier and there's not really an area for them to do giant stride. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to gear up and then you're going to get in the water. So this is what it looks like. A lot of times there'll be a line that it's called a no swim line. And I'm pretty sure actually it's called the trail line to be more specific. But you're gonna pull yourself on that line all the way down to the anchoring line, and then you'll pull yourself down to the wreck. And then at the end of the dive, it's going to be time to exit. So the trail line runs all the way down the boat and out the back. So the trail line is really nice because when everybody's coming up at the same time, which usually doesn't happen, if you're the first in the water, you'll usually come up a little bit faster. But if you're kind of in the middle, sometimes people will kind of come up with you. The trail line, you're going to want to hold on to that if somebody else is getting out. Because if somebody is coming up that ladder and they fall back on you and their cylinder hits your face, the cylinder is going to win every time. I promise you. You'll break a nose, you'll break some teeth. It's not pretty. So you want to be far enough back on that trail line that if they fall in the water, they're not going to hit you. And then once you do get up to the ladder, you're going to remove your fins. And a lot of times you can put them on your wrist and then climb up the ladder, which we'll show you at the pool session. And sometimes in Panama City, they're actually really nice to us. We can hand them our fins and they'll hold on to them for us. So we don't have to walk up with them. But
and listen, for just a second, Maureen, that's all true. Except I did want to correct you. The trail line is not the same as a no swim line.
Okay.
And you know this because a no swim line goes from the time you jump off the boat,
yeah,
right, and it goes to the bow. It's what you pull yourself along that goes to the bow, and then you switch to the other line. A trail line, and the students should know the answer to this. A trail line is used for what purpose? From your readings, what purpose is a trail line used for behind the boat? This is also a test question.
I don't know if Jenny wants to answer, but
Yes, Evie.
When I mean, I don't know if you want to try it with Jenny.
My name's Evie. It's my mom's computer, but you can do it.
Go ahead, Evie. Go ahead. It's okay.
What was the question again?
What is the purpose of a trail line?
I'm not sure.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and let someone else answer. No answer. And your name is not Dive. Go ahead and say what your name is.
My name is Nico. Yeah.
Okay. So she's not Jenny and you're not Dive. It's
yeah.
Evie and Nico.
Is it when the current is too strong and you don't tire yourself out? Is that?
It's not about tying, but it is about current. So typically if there's current, you're going to need that line to kind of pull yourself along in the current and get yourself back on the boat. So like Maureen said, in Panama City, they're super nice to us. And really a big part of that is because there's not a lot of current there. And so because there's not a lot of current, we can just kind of go right up to the boat and not really have to hang on to that thing too much. In other places like South Florida, there may be a lot of current and you got to hang on to it and pull yourself along. And then when the person in front of you gets up that ladder and you've given them enough space, then you go up a little bit. You're not touching the ladder. You're far enough away that you're not going to hurt yourself if there's a wave. And you take your fins off and then you pull yourself up to the ladder. Okay, and you're going to put one fin on each arm, and we'll practice this in the pool. And you're going to keep your regulator in your mouth if there's heavy current, or your snorkel if there's not, and get yourself up the ladder. So very good. Maureen, continue.
Okay, so this is a picture of somebody walk up the ladder with your fins in your hand. You'll put the straps around your wrist so that you can hold onto the ladder with both hands. They've got their mask on and their snorkel in their mouth. Like she said, snorkel if there's like not, if it's not really rough, and then regulator if you need it. If you're captaining your own boat, there's a lot that you need to learn. So you need to make sure that you understand the weather and making sure that the conditions are going to be good for diving. Have a float plan to tell someone, you know, what you're doing and where you're going. Make sure you have the proper equipment. So like life-saving equipment, you need to make sure you have that. Communication is super key. You got to make sure that you know what to expect from the people that are diving and what they can expect from you. And, you know, kind of maybe let somebody know where you're going. And then make sure you have enough fuel to get to your dive site and back from your dive site, and then extra in case anything happens. The last thing you want to do is be stranded in the ocean. And someone should stay on the boat at all times. So not everyone should be in the water. You should have one person who's going to stay on the boat just to make sure it's a safety precaution. You want to make sure everyone can get back onto the boat, and if something were to happen, there would be somebody there to call for help. And then, yeah, a whole new world awaits down there. It's super cool. There's lots to see down there. Make sure you're learning and listening, then dive. So, you know, take the time to kind of learn things and absorb as much information as you can before you go down there. And then conserve and protect our environment. Super important that we take care of the things that we're looking at. And lastly, let's go diving. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that was module 5. We're going to get into module 6 now, and this is where we're going to be doing these dive tables. So does everybody have their air tables in front of them? Okay, perfect. Because we're going to be using these. And I have mine, and I have a marker, so I'll be able to kind of help show you guys. First thing we're going to talk about is handling your gear. So we're going to go over the care of the scuba gear checklist, and buddy checks. So the care of basic gear, this is like your skin diving gear. Make sure you're not kind of throwing it around. I mean, be careful with it. It can kind of take a beating, but you know, you're spending money on those things, so you might as well take care of them. Your scuba gear is going to be very expensive, and it is kind of fragile. So those are things that you're going to want to take a little bit better care of. Especially if you're diving in salt water. The salt will corrode a lot of the metal on your gear, so you want to make sure you're always rinsing it. After saltwater dives, you're rinsing it really well. Make sure that you inflate it and let it dry completely, because you don't want it to get mold in there. These are expensive pieces of equipment, so you want to kind of take care of them like they're your babies. Make sure you have a gear checklist. Make sure you're making sure that you have everything that you need before you go diving. So you don't want to be stuck on a site with no fins. So having a little checklist can kind of help you. And then buddy checks. Your buddy is going to check you as well as an extra safety precaution, just to make sure that you didn't miss anything. And we'll go over proper buddy checks on Sunday and teach you guys how to do those. So this is a common problem. It's when the cylinder strap isn't tight enough and your cylinder will slip down. So on our BCs, we're actually going to have, it doesn't have a proper name. We just call it the oh crap strap. And it's going to go around the top of your valve to make sure that if your cylinder does slip down, it's going to catch it, so that you're not just stuck with your cylinder by your feet. And it's going to help a lot. So we're going to go over a couple hand signals. So does anybody know what the would they know the hand signals? Probably not. Would you? I think you guys should. Right? Does anybody know what low on air is? We don't do this one very often, but
You should know the hand signals if they read the book.
Yeah, you should know it if you read.
That's okay. Go ahead and go through it. Do ask them though as you go.
Yeah, so low on air, I think I saw Nico doing it. Low on air is going to be a hand to your chest like this. And we don't do this very much at all, like we should. We'll usually ask you how much air you have in PSI, and you'll tell us using your fingers. So if you have if you have 2,500 left, you'll give us a 2, a 5, and then 2 zeros.
Maureen, did I hear you say you should do that signal?
No, I said we just don't use it as much as
yeah, so I don't really think it's necessary. The reason I don't use the signal and I don't train my people to use the signal is that what does it mean really low on air? Does it mean 1,000 PSI? Does it mean 500 PSI? I'd rather hear your number. Yeah, and so
definitely rather you just tell us how much you have.
Yeah, and in all my years of diving, I've only seen it used once. And Maureen, where was that?
At the Georgia Aquarium.
That's right.
They make you use it. And they tell you ahead of time what low on air is. So you have expectations and you'll know. So I don't know if this goes through them.
Yeah, you do. So now you're going to click the next one. And so you're going to ask them. Go ahead and just click the next one since you're not familiar with this slide.
Okay. So
ask them what that is.
What would this one be?
Okay.
Underwater. So this is going to be okay underwater. And then what's this one?
On the surface.
Yes. Okay, on the surface. And then this one, what does this one mean?
Help.
List on
Yeah, help.
the, you're waving your help me. There's some she's pointing to her ears. If you're having ear problems, you'll point to your ears and then you'll kind of shake your hand like this to kind of let us know that your ears are uneasy. And that works for anything. If you're feeling a little bit uneasy, you can kind of point to yourself and say, I'm feeling a little bit uneasy. If your legs are hurting, just point and give us a sign and we'll understand. What is this one?
This depth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is stay at that depth.
Yes, so this is hold this depth. We are gonna do a safety stop at 15 feet, and a lot of people forget that. So we're gonna tell you, 3 minutes, and then we're gonna say hold this depth. So that just means kind of stay there, hang out a little bit. And then what does this one mean? Anyone?
Buddy up.
Buddy up.
Yes, this is buddy up. So if I look at you and it looks like you have no idea where your buddy is, I'm gonna ask you, where's your buddy? Do you know? Be a good buddy, keep an eye on your buddy. We'll tell you this a lot, kind of get next to your buddy if you're swimming too far. What does this one mean?
Low on air.
Yes, so this is low on air. You'll probably not really see this at all. And what is this one?
Out of air.
Yes, so this is out of air, one hand right across your throat, and that's telling us that you're out of air. And then what is this one?
Ascend.
Yes, so this is not cool, thumbs up, doing great. This is upper ascent. So a lot of times in the beginning, we'll ask you if you're okay, and a lot of people get confused and caught up in it, and they'll give us a thumbs up, and we're just like, no, it's okay. So just remember that if we're giving you a thumbs up, we're not trying to tell you you're doing a good job. We're trying to tell you to go up. All right, so let's get to this next slide. So now we're going to go over dive planning. So there's a couple factors when you are planning. Health, how are you feeling that day? Are you sick? If you're sick, you probably shouldn't be diving. But how are you feeling? How's your body feeling? Do you have any aches or anything like that? What's the climate like? Are you traveling? What's the weather going to be like when you're there? And then are you rested? Are you nourished? Have you eaten before it? Are you qualified for the dive that you're about to do? Are you feeling a little bit nervous? Because nervousness can actually translate in the water and it'll make it harder to dive. So you want to make sure you're planning in advance. Why, who, where, when, how, all of those questions are super important when you're planning dives. Who are you diving with? Where are you going? What time are you going to be there? How are you getting there? Those kinds of things. And then make sure you're prepared. Make sure your equipment's prepared. Make sure you have a buddy, and also make sure that you're prepared mentally and physically. So, maybe stretch a little bit if you get cramps. Make sure you're hydrating all the time, those kinds of things. And then a couple things that you can do on site would be, hold on, my little chat box is blocking it. But weather conditions, so making sure that on site, you check the weather before, but how is it looking once you get there? And then coming up with a dive profile, which is what we're gonna do based on our tables. It's gonna give us a dive profile. Okay, so learning the dive tables. This is gonna be a lot of fun. But luckily, most of you read. So table A is gonna be this one in the top right. And that's gonna be if you're doing a single dive. So if you're doing a single dive, you're only gonna use table A. And then table B is going to be your surface credit. So this is, your surface interval. How much time do you need to spend on the surface? How much time are you spending? And then table C is gonna be your next dive. So this is if you're doing, you know, multiple dives in one day, you're going to use table C. Okay, so let's go over bottom time. This is where you're starting. So this is what a typical dive profile is going to look like. You're going to start at the top left, and then you're going to end right before your safety stop. So your safety stop and the rest of your ascent from 15 feet does not count as your dive time. So when you're doing bottom time, it's going to be from the moment you hit the water to the moment that you make it to your safety stop. So planning a dive, how long can you stay at 50 feet? Looking at your tables right now, how long can we stay at 50 feet?
Um, 80 minutes.
Okay, and how did you get that?
Because next to the bold where it says 50, if you right next to it or all the way down, it says 80 minutes.
Perfect. So you can either look right next to it where it says no decompression stop limit, or you can follow it all the way to the right side until it reaches the black, and that'll tell you your maximum time as well. So perfect. In table A, it's going to tell you.
Maureen, let me just say something. When you are demonstrating, when you're showing the dive table, click stop share, especially for the more complex questions, right? Because you're just a little thumbnail on a video. So we see the PowerPoint and not really much of you. Okay? So just hit stop share whenever it gets to the complex stuff. Okay?
Okay, when it gets to like the actual
dive problems and stuff. Right.
Okay, gotcha. How long can you stay at 80 feet? Anyone?
32 minutes.
Perfect. Yes. And that's right next to it. Or if you follow it all the way to the right until you reach the black, it's going to say 32. And that's in table A again. How long can we stay at 100 feet?
18 minutes.
Perfect. Perfect. You guys are so smart. Okay, so let's go over decompression theory. So this is going to be if you're doing multiple dives. It's going to tell you dive 1, that's going to be your profile, and then a surface interval, and then you're going to have dive 2. So
keep clicking through. This is actually showing you the nitrogen load in your body. It's kind of showing you that.
Okay, yeah, so this is going to show you after dive 1, you can see at the top, on the left side of the top, it shows you how much nitrogen you have. And then after surface interval, you decrease the amount of nitrogen in your body. And then you'll add that extra one on the second dive and end after you've done a surface interval to decrease the amount of nitrogen. And that just is kind of like what decompression theory is. So decompression theory and dive tables. So for the introduction of this, we're going to talk about dive planning for reducing the risk for decompression sickness, which is also referred to as the BENS, which is going to cover topics of like nitrogen saturation, dive tables, and dive computers using SEI air tables. So quick question, are all dive tables interchangeable? Does anyone know?
Do you mean different agencies? Is that what you're referring to, Maureen? Be a little more clear.
I just mean like all of them.
No, you are referring to different agencies.
Okay, yeah.
Right, so if you're diving with somebody with a PADI certification, can you use their dive tables versus yours?
They should all be the same.
But they're not.
They're not.
The answer is no.
Yeah. So they're not the same. So use your dive tables. Don't trust anybody else. Use yours. Do it yourself. It will give you peace of mind, and you don't want your life to be dependent on anybody else's work. So let's go over definitions and some rules. Bottom time, like I said, starts at the surface as soon as you touch the water, and it's going to end at your safety stop.
By the way, guys, what she's going over right now, what page is that going to be in your workbook? Find it in your workbook You may want to follow along and write this part down. This is, you know, a lot that she's going to throw at you right now. So find it in your in the workbook. It's the workbook, and you'll see a page that has a bunch of definitions and rules. First person who finds it, just let us know what page number.
133.
Okay, great. So everyone turn to page 133. Are you looking in your workbook?
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's the textbook. The workbook. The workbook is the one you write in.
Yeah, the workbook will have like a bunch of fill in the blank.
Yeah, find it in the workbook.
Page 17.
That sounds more like it. Thank you. Everyone have it? Good. So you're going to want to write these as she goes along. And Maureen, as you do them, you're going to want to pause and make sure everyone's written it down.
Okay.
What's your kitty's name?
Oh, this is Gemma.
Aw.
This is one of the ones from you.
She's
She was being bad, so I called her over here.
adorable. So I foster a lot of animals, and so Maureen adopted 2 from me. I foster puppies too. Go ahead.
Okay, so does everybody have this written down as far as we've gotten? It should just be through A. I was about to go over B. So B is going to be required decompression diving is too deep and too long. So that's what happens when you stay at a deep depth for too long. And then recreational diving is going to be a no required stops diving.
And that's not referring to your safety stop. It's referring to decompression stops.
Yeah. It's referring to not having to spend like multiple times stopping and decompressing.
I don't see fill in the blanks. I only see like where you circle answers.
So that's going to be your.
I think that might be the other workbook.
It's the workbook. One's homework and one's workbook. Find
Yeah,
the workbook
find the
part B.
workbook.
So yeah, I told you the wrong one. Let me see if I can find it in that one.
Maureen, for future reference, let's note the page number and put this on the slide for future reference, okay? Did anyone find it?
Not yet.
So introduction to dive tables.
It should say, you should see a page that says definitions and rules.
I see.
And it has
I
blank.
I see bottom time is,
Yep.
first dive time limits.
Nope.
No.
No, it should.
Definitions and rules. This is the next page. Yay. So page 15.
There you go.
In that, where's my camera? In that one.
Okay, thank you.
It's part A or part B?
It's
Part B.
It's classroom notes, not homework.
Yeah, it says open water divers, workbook part B, classroom notes.
There you go. That's the one.
okay,
And it
thank
is page 15.
I'll give you guys a second to catch up. And then once you've catched up, just look up so I know that you're done.
Maureen, on the version of the PowerPoint I actually have it. I have it on the slide.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it says page 15 of Classroom Notes workbook. Yep.
Weird. I guess I have an old version, maybe not updated in a while.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Are we all done? Neat. Okay. So SEI diving limits are 50 feet for 80 minutes, 80 feet for 32 minutes, and 100 feet for 18 minutes. And those are all on your tables as well. You guys can see those from the tables.
Plus you just went over them.
Plus we just went over them in the last slide. So if in between, you're going to go to the next greater time or depth. So let's say we were diving at 58 feet. You're going to round up to 60. And then if, you know, let's say we're diving at 58 feet for 30 minutes. If you look at 60 feet, because we're rounding up, if you look at 60 feet, there is no 30 minutes. There's a 28 and a 33. So you're always going to round up to the greater time. So even though we're doing 30 minutes, we would do 60 feet for 33 minutes. Does that make sense? Why do you think we would round up?
Because it's better to add more time than less time.
Of course. Yes, always. And also, if you're doing 30 minutes, 28 minutes is going to give you a completely different profile. So you want to make sure that you accommodate for those extra 2 minutes that you're diving. And like you said, it's always better to be safer than not as safe. So ascent rate should be no faster than 30 feet per minute, which is about hand over hand. So when you're ascending, it should be hand over hand. If you're on a line, hand to hand up that line. For high altitude diving, you're going to reduce your times and depth. That's going to be because of nitrogen again. You want to make sure that the nitrogen load in your body isn't too much that can't handle the altitude that you're at. So flying after diving, we talked about this earlier, you're going to wait 12 to 24 hours. And then RNT, which is going to be your residual nitrogen time or depth time, not depth, but det, is time against the next dive. And then your total dive time is residual nitrogen time plus the next dive. And then your safety stop should end all dives for 3 minutes at 15 feet. And repetitive dives account for previous dives that day as well. Does everybody have all of these? Okay, perfect. All right, so let's talk about using dive tables. So table A, like I said, in the top right corner, is going to be your single dive time and group letter. So after that one dive, you'll get a group letter if you follow it down. And then table B is going to be your surface interval credit. How much time are you spending on the surface? And that number will determine your new group number. And table C is going to give you your residual nitrogen time and your next dive time. That's where you're going to plug that in. So the back, if you flip it over, table D, which we refer to as table D for dummies, you never want to be on this table. This is going to be your decompression diving table. This is if you are not paying attention and you overstay your welcome down there, and you need to use table D to figure out where you will be. Table D is not where you want to be. Like I said, it's table D for dummies. You guys need to make sure that you're diving within your limits using the first two tables. And if you do that, it's going to be easy to know how long to stay in there. So use your dive tables to your advantage. So we're going to go over a problem. And I'm going to let you guys write it down. I don't know if this one's going to walk through you or if it's going to need to be written down.
Okay, you need to know this, right? This one is actually one that it's going to give it to them.
Okay, perfect.
So you're actually going to walk them through it.
Okay.
So it's going to be a little complicated if you don't know the tables, if you don't know the presentation well.
Gotcha.
So I'm just let me try to help you a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to walk through this one together, all of us together. So for the first dive, it's going to have you at 60 feet for 45 minutes, which will make you an H diver.
It's actually 60. Let me go ahead and give it to you since you don't know it.
Thank you. Sorry.
So it's actually 60 for 40. Write this down too, Maureen, so you know it. 60 for 40, 1 hour surface interval. Second dive, we want to go to 50 feet. How long can we stay? So again, 60 for 40, 1 hour surface interval. Second dive to 50 feet. How long can we stay?
Okay.
And you all did the readings. Does this kind of, does this help you? You kind of know already the answer maybe? Well, Maureen's going to walk you through the first one, but I see Brenda giving a head nod, which is good. How about you, Evie?
I think so.
Okay. Well, Maureen's going to walk you through it, and then you'll get to do some other problems too. Go ahead.
Okay. So we already know that it's 60 feet for 40 minutes. So on our table, we're going to find where it says 60 feet. And since we don't have a 40, like I said, we're going to round up. So we're going to round up to 45, right? And then once you round up to 45, you're going to follow that down so you know that you're an H diver. And they're saying that we're going to sit on the surface for about an hour. So you're going to find where H, you're going to go down until you see where that time slot is an hour, which is going to be where it's circled, the 1:44 to 53. And then you're going to follow that to the left. So now you can see that we are G diver after our first dive, after our surface interval. And then our second dive, we're going to go to 50 feet. So if we go over on table C, where it says 50, and we see where 50 and H intersect, just follow that over. You're going to see two numbers. So one number, so this is seeing where you take G and you follow that over. Then we're going to find, was it 50 or 60 feet for the second dive?
Second dive is 50 feet.
So, okay. So why else is it circling 60?
You've got an old version. You've got an old version. Why don't I just take over for a moment? I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
You're really sorry about this, but so I'm going to share my screen instead. Yeah, so she's working from an old version of the document. So give me just a moment here. And then I'm going to share. So Maureen, I made some updates after the last class because what happened was they changed the workbook and they changed the homework and the workbook. And so I was working from the old version, and so I updated it for the new version. Okay, so as Maureen was saying, 60 for 40, so there's no 40, so we round up to 45. We follow that down, we're an H diver. We stay out for 1 hour, and if you look, it's between the 53 and the 144, because how many minutes is 1 hour?
60 minutes.
Yeah, so see, between the 53 and the 144 is where you're going to find an hour. And by the way, when you're diving, 1 hour surface interval is pretty much the standard when you're on a boat is going to be 1 hour. All right, so then you're going to follow that circle to the left, and you're going to see that you become a G diver. So you've basically offloaded an entire letter of nitrogen. Dive tables are all about regulating the amount of nitrogen in your body. And so by staying out for an hour, you went from an H to a G. Second dive, we want to go to 50 feet. And so we're going to look at 50. The question is, how long can you stay? Well, the top number is not how long you can stay. The top number is residual nitrogen time. The bottom number is bottom time. So the question is, how long can you stay? It's bottom time. So the answer is 31. See that? So the answer is 31. And so when you chart it out, it looks like this. We were H diver, we stayed out for an hour. We're a G diver, RNT, residual nitrogen time is 40. And the answer is 31 is how long we can stay. Okay. And then interestingly, if you take, if you follow 50 to the very end, you'll see there's an 80 there. If you take the 80 minus 49, you're going to get 31. So that's kind of where the number is coming from. All right. Maureen, can you tell me problem B if you have this?
Yeah, give me 1 second, sorry. Where did I...
It's the next slide. So 70 for 20. Everyone else, go ahead and write this down. 70 for 20. And it should be in the workbook, the next page that you were working from. Problem B, 70 for 20, surface interval 30. Second dive to 50 feet, how long can we stay? And I want you to go ahead and try to calculate that on your own, just quietly on your own. Don't give the answer until we ask. But you're going to see SIT, that's surface interval time. That's where we're going to write the 30. D is depth, BT is bottom time, RNT is residual nitrogen time. So go ahead and try to figure out the answer to that. It's just like by doing the same that we did with the last problem.
I think mine is different.
Here, I'm gonna put it on the server or something for you, okay? While I'm doing this,
Okay.
while they're working through this.
Gotcha.
Now I'm starting to doubt myself. I wonder if I'm the one working from the older version.
Probably not.
Anything is possible, Maureen.
Probably not. I saved this, like, let me see when I say, I wonder if I can see when I saved it. Hold on, let me see. Oh.
I'd have to exit out of it to take a look, but
I saved this back in August. So
Well, go ahead and get familiar with what you guys have the workbook. What do you see in the workbook? Is this the correct number or not?
The workbook is set up how your slides are set up.
Okay, so I have the most current version.
okay. I was like, it's probably not.
Do you guys have an answer? Does everyone have an answer? Evie, do you have one? Just, if you do, just wave right now.
No, I don't yet.
Okay, go ahead and finish, and then we'll have everyone say the answer at the same time. And it's like we just did, Evie. So if you're gonna go on the dive table, you're gonna follow it over on table A, round up as you need to, look down to table B to find the surface interval, and then you're gonna go over to table C and find the second dive depth, and you're gonna find where that matches.
I think I have an answer now.
Okay, so right now I want all three of you to say what you think the answer is at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
45.
45.
Evie, I didn't hear you.
45.
All right, woohoo! Okay, good job. So you guys had an E, and then you were still an E because you only had 30-minute surface interval. RNC was 35, and the bottom time was 45. Good job. It helps when people read things. It's good. All right, problem C is next. And I want you to write this down because while you're writing it down, after you're done writing it down, while you're solving the problem, I'm gonna make sure that Maureen gets the latest version. So it's 80 for a 30 is the first dive. Surface interval 2 hours. Second dive, we wanna go to 70 feet. How long can we stay? Again, 80 for 30, surface interval 2 hours. Second dive to 70. How long can we stay? Everyone have that so I can exit out of this and try to, okay, cool. Maureen, you should have gotten a notification via Dropbox that I shared the file with you.
What is that? What is a Dropbox?
It's file sharing. Just, you should have gotten a notification, click the link, and then I can't believe you don't know what Dropbox is. Okay.
I am
The whole thing,
this
trust me on this.
conversation.
What they say about the younger generations being tech savvy is not true.
We have had this conversation. So
I know.
I like don't even know where to find Dropbox. Like
Check your email for a link.
Just go to your Gmail
Send
account.
you an email notification.
thank you. See, that is what I needed to know, where to go. My email. I see
I
it now.
just said you should have gotten a notification in your Gmail. So go ahead.
Oh, well, see, I just heard notification, and so
It's
I looked at my
fine.
home screen, and I'm like, "There's nothing on there." I don't see
Well, I
anything.
mean, don't you have a pop-up that tells you when email comes in too?
Oh no, I keep my notifications
Okay.
off. No.
All right. Do you guys have the answer?
Yes, we do.
All right. On the count of 3, you're going to tell me what the answer is. The answer is
17.
13.
uh-oh.
Wait, one of us is wrong. Dun, dun, dun.
All right. So who said what numbers?
I said 17.
And Brenda, what did you say?
13.
And Nico, you said
13.
13 or 17?
13.
All right. So the correct number is 13.
Hmm.
So Maureen, I want you to go ahead and show how you get the answer 13.
I know what I did wrong, by the way.
You do?
Yeah, I didn't follow out at the same thing. My hand went up when I followed it out.
That
And I-
makes complete sense. That's so easy to do. What I recommend you do is you use some kind of straight line, like a sheet of paper or ruler or something.
I
To
use
help.
an expo marker.
A what?
An expo marker.
Yeah, anything
can
just to
draw
make sure that
it.
you go straight. So
Wipe it right off.
Maureen, do you have your presentation now?
I had to sign up for Dropbox. I think.
You didn't have to, but you go ahead and do what you're doing, and I'll go to another one.
Okay.
So here's another practice problem for you. This one's not in the workbook, so I added it. 71 for 20, surface interval 2 hours and 30 minutes, second dive to 80 feet. How long can we stay? And the thing is, as you do these, you're going to get faster at getting the answer. So as soon as you have the answer, just wave at the camera. What are you eating, Maureen?
Asparagus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're very good.
It sounds good.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. Got to get Taylor in the class because then we would have an even number.
Listen, don't even get me started with it. Don't get us started with it.
All right. You guys have an answer?
Yes.
Evie, got an answer? Unmute yourself.
Yes.
And the answer is 1, 2, 3, go.
90.
80 minutes.
Okay, I only heard Brenda. That was good.
Sorry, I'm loud.
That was nice and loud. What about the other two? What'd you say?
80.
Okay,
80.
good.
I
Evie?
said 90. I don't know what I did wrong this time.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Instead of me giving you the answer, I want you to just work through it. Tell us how you got what you got. Just walk us through it. 71 for
Well, since it's 71, I went down to 80, but I think should I have stayed at 71 or at 70?
No, you should have rounded up. That was good.
Okay. Then you go out to 20. And you come down to 52. And 38. Come out to 40. Oh, I did the same thing I did last time. I went up on accident.
Okay, so what's the answer?
80.
Okay, why do I have 106 there? Is it a typo? Maureen, go ahead and go through the dive table for me real quick.
Okay.
It could have just been a typo. It could have been a different problem. This is my kitty back here is Willow. She's blind. And then Finn here. By the way, Maureen and I both have dogs named Finn.
Here's my Finn.
She named her Finn before I named mine, but I didn't name mine after her. I named mine after a little girl named Finley. So, Finn.
Both Finns.
Come here, Finn. Come here. Come here. Come here. Show your face. He's like, no, I have this really cool, yummy toy.
He said, I'm busy, Mom.
Yeah, he did. He literally just said, nope, I'm going to go for treats instead. All right, so can just go through it real quick, Maureen, and just confirm that is this a typo or?
Gotcha.
71 for 20, 2 hours and 30 minute surface interval.
That's not a typo.
So it is 106?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did everyone get it wrong? Were you guys working from 1 hour surface interval or 2 hours and 30 minute surface interval?
I'm double checking what I did here.
Okay.
So I went down to 80
Mm-hmm.
and then went across because when I wrote it down, my 2 looks like a 3. So I went, did I go to 30 instead? But let me check. Okay, so, and then you go to 20, which would then bring you to E, which I have H. So I don't know what I did, right? Because yeah, so you'd have E. So I didn't have E. So that's where my mistake came in.
Okay, Brenda's got her mistake down. What about everyone else? That's so weird that everyone got it wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Nika? What happened with you?
I put H as well, and
What?
then F. Yeah, I think I went straight to the maximum time, I think. Yeah, and then I went to F, but now I see that it's E, and then it goes to C.
Yeah, go ahead and work through it again. Because I've never had a class do this. And all the times I've taught, I've never had everybody get it wrong.
Make sure
Yeah,
you
so-
guys are rounding up where you need to round up.
No, but they were putting H instead of E.
Yeah, I don't know where we got the H from.
I don't know where that.
So then down to the 230, which would then put us on C.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to go, we said 38. So we would go to 40, which would give us 106.
All right. Evie, you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Nico, you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Maureen, are you ready to take back over?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you're going to do problem D. I'm going to have them write it down while we swap our screen sharing. So 40 for 1 hour is the first part. Surface interval 50 minutes. Second dive, we want to go to 80 feet. How long can we stay? Again, 40 feet for an hour. 50 surface interval. Next dive, 80 feet. How long can we stay? And whenever you're ready, Maureen, as you guys have that written down? Okay. Problem D, go ahead and bring that up, Maureen.
Hold on, sorry. It's got my other PowerPoint for some reason, and I don't know.
Just close the other PowerPoint and then open that one, and then you'll only see it. You won't get confused. Having 2 files with the same name often confuses the system.
But like I don't even see that PowerPoint open on my computer is the problem.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go back to doing my thing while you figure it out.
Thanks. I'm trying.
I know. You guys, when you have the answer, just wave at the camera. Okay. Good, Brenda. Go back through and check your work. Check your downloads, Maureen. It should be in your downloads. If you don't know how to find that, Maureen, go to your Spotlight and type in 5-7. Okay, and then say show all. You know where Spotlight is, Maureen? Are you on a Mac or a PC? Talk to me. I have to unmute yourself. Oh my gosh. It's like dealing with my parents. You're muted. Unmute yourself. You were totally like my parents. Unmute yourself. I can't hear you.
Try holding your space bar.
Oh my gosh. No, I'll just unmute you if you can't unmute yourself. Hit the no.
Yeah, unmute her if you can.
Okay. Uh-oh. What?
Oh, it was there.
I know.
There.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I hear you now.
My screen is
Grandma Maureen, come on.
Listen, my screen is completely black and I have a little mouse cursor and I don't know what I did.
Power down.
Okay,
It's like, okay, wait.
Okay, I'm waiting.
Try hitting, you're on a Mac or PC?
A Mac.
Hit Command Tab, and let me know if you're able to see what's open right now.
I see you guys now. You're back.
Okay.
Okay, you're back.
By the way, I taught computer science at the U.S. Military Academy, in case you're wondering why I'm so geeky.
I think I managed also to close the other PowerPoint. So, you know.
You have the correct one up now?
I think I do. I
Yay,
think I
okay.
do, but we will see.
All right, I'm gonna let you take over then. You start loading that up, and we're gonna try again. Do you three have the answer? Brenda, I like your kitty.
Yes. Oh,
All right.
yeah, this one's Clover.
Aw.
She's getting mad now because she saw other people.
All right, so your answer is 1, 2, 3, go.
3.
How come you're the only one I ever hear?
Because I'm really loud.
Nico?
3 as well.
Evie?
3.
All right. It's a bad dive, isn't it? 3 minutes? It's a terrible dive. Why do you think that is? What's wrong with this problem? What's wrong with the picture of our first dive is 40 feet, our second dive is 80 feet?
They should have done the 80 feet first.
Exactly. And so there aren't a lot of options, right? I mean, we might have some other choices. What could we do if this really was our dive profile? What could we do to make it better?
Rest for more than 50 minutes?
Sure. If we stayed out for 2 hours instead of 50 minutes, we'd have a whole 10 minutes available. That's still not a great choice, right? So we could reduce our depth, ideally, of our second dive. So, all right, we're going to go into our first 3 dive problem. Maureen, do you have this ready yet? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let you set up your screen share while I let everyone know. Write this down. Your first dive is 60 for 20. Surface interval is 1 hour. Second dive is 50 for 20. We have another surface interval of 1 hour. The third dive, we want to go to 40 feet. How long can we stay? Amy has a kitty too. Aw, who's that?
Her name is Bean.
Bean, that's a cute name. Aw. So again, 60 for 20, 1 hour out, 50 for 20, 1 hour out. Third dive, we want to go to 40 feet. How long can we stay? Now, let me just give you a couple of pointers here. You are going to add the residual nitrogen time to your actual bottom time on your second dive. And you guys, if you want, why don't we go through one together so you don't have to guess how to do this on your very first time? Does that sound good? All right, so follow me for a minute. Well, everyone look at the screen. 60 for 20. We round up to 22. We follow it down. We're a D diver, right? We're out for 1 hour. And so now we're a C diver. We reduced it by 1 letter. Second dive, we want to go to 50. So in table C, we look at that top number, which is 50. And then we look down to where it intersects with C. And the top number is going to be residual nitrogen time, 23. Now, if the question asked on our second dive, how long could we stay, we would just look at the bottom number, but it's not asking that. So we need to get the top number, residual nitrogen time, which is 23. That is our penalty. So we're going to take 23, the top number, plus the actual bottom time, which is 20 of our second dive, still on our second dive. We now have 43. You see how that works? So we now have 50 for 43. So then we go back up to table A with this new number, 50 for 43. I'm going to back up a little bit because I see some confusion. So listen for just a minute. We did 60 for 20. We rounded up. We're a D diver. We came down just like we did before. We're now a C diver. Here's where it gets a little more complicated. We know we're going to have multiple dives, so we go to 50, and we find where the C intersects. Instead of getting that bottom number, we're going to grab the top number, which is residual nitrogen time, 23. We're going to add that to our actual bottom time of 20 of our second dive to get 43. So we now have added our penalty of nitrogen, which is the RNT. So we have a new number, 43. So we're 50 for 43. Here's what we're going to do. 50 for 43, we go back up to table A. Remember, we're still on our second dive. We see that there is no 43. We round up to 48. We are a G diver. We stay out for 1 hour. We're now an F diver. And the question is, how long can we stay? And the answer is the bottom number, which is 80. And then, of course, the top number is our residual nitrogen time. Does that make sense? So the hardest part is to remember, and the part that everyone gets confused on, is that second dive, you're going to add your residual nitrogen time to your actual bottom time of your second dive. Go back up to table A, same depth, 50 feet for the second dive, new time, which is the residual nitrogen time plus the actual bottom time equals total bottom time. And then you continue to work through the problem. And this is what it looks like charted out. So as you're writing things down, it's going to look like that. Okay? Any questions on this before we have you solve a problem? Maureen, are you ready? Okay, go ahead and start sharing your screen then.
Right?
Yeah, go ahead and click through that slide and go into the next one. We've already done problem E.
Okay. Okay.
There you go. So speak, talk to us.
Oh, okay, sorry. So this is going to be problem F. So the first dive is going to be 78 feet for 27 minutes. And then you're going to have a 1 hour surface interval. And then your second dive is going to be 50 feet for 30 minutes. And then you're going to do an hour and 30 minutes for a surface interval. And then your third dive is going to be to 44 feet. And we want to know how long you can dive at 44 feet. What are you making? Do you guys need a little bit more time, or is everyone ready?
I'm ready, I think.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So what's your first group number going to be? So 78 for 27, what's your first group number going to be?
It's group letter.
Group letter, sorry, not number. That's right, letter.
G.
Does everybody have G?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We're starting off great. So then after an hour, what is your next group letter going to be?
F.
Does everyone have F?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. So then our second dive is going to be 50 feet for 30 minutes. And this is where we grab that residual nitrogen time, right? So what's our new bottom time?
5 minutes.
How much?
65 minutes.
So how did you get 65?
You go out and you go out and the residual nitrogen time is 35 and you add it to the 30.
Okay, perfect. So that puts you at, then you go back up to table A, right? And we're gonna do 50 feet. Did everybody have that? Did everybody have 65?
I have 72. Did I do something wrong?
Let me double check.
Yeah, you need to, Maureen, you need to check it as you just now are doing before you go.
I have 42. 42, yeah.
Yeah, 42 for the residual nitrogen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, that's correct. So it should be 42.
So Evie, do you see where you missed it?
I'm looking.
Okay.
I'm not sure where I missed it. I'm not sure what I did that's wrong.
Okay, so Maureen, stop screen sharing. Grab your dive table and work through this problem slowly with everyone.
God, hold on, sorry. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Okay, so on your dive tables, we're gonna be looking at the top here first. So we've got 78 feet. So there's not a 7, so we're gonna up to 80 on the first dive. So 80 feet for 27 minutes. So we have 80, and then we need to round up to 28, which is gonna be right over here, which is gonna give us G, right? So
Now I know what I did wrong. I think I just did the problem a little out of order.
okay, why don't you walk me through it?
Well, what I did is I skipped the first part and I just went straight to the second part. That's what I did.
Okay, you skipped the second problem.
No, I skipped the part with the 78 feet
Oh,
on accident.
okay, got you. The first dive.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay, so I'm still gonna walk you guys through it. So we've got, now we're a G, right? We know that because we did 78 round here, we round up to 28 because we don't have a 27, and then we come down and we're a G. So for our 1 hour surface interval, we're gonna come down and it's gonna be this second box right here. That one, I don't know if you guys can see this. I usually have a different marker, but it's gonna be this one right here. And then we're gonna follow that over. That makes us an F now, right? And then our second dive is 50 feet for 30 minutes. So we're gonna come over on table C and find our 50, which is gonna be right here, right there, up here. It's gonna be this white column. And then we're gonna go down. We're gonna be diving for 30 minutes, so we're gonna round up to 31. So right here, we're gonna see that it says 30, or no, sorry, my bad, wrong step. We're gonna take the F, disregard what I just said. We're gonna go and see where F and 50 intersect. So we're gonna follow F over and see where it intersects with 50. And you should see 42 on the top and 38 on the bottom. Do you guys see that? Right here. And then after that, we're gonna take that residual nitrogen time, which is gonna be 42, it's our top number, and we're gonna add 42 to 30 to get our new bottom time. So 42 plus 30 is gonna be 72. So still on our second dive, we're going back up to table A, and we're doing 50 feet. So 50 for 72 minutes. So we use our new bottom time. So we're gonna come all the way over. So at 50, come all the way over, and there is no 70. Right? Did everybody have that? So far, so good. Okay, perfect. And that puts us with what letter? $50 for 80.
Is it K?
Yeah, perfect. So we're gonna come down. Yeah, we would be a K. So we're down here. Evie, are you following with us? Okay, perfect. So we're a K now, and we're gonna sit out for an hour and 30 minutes this time. So it's gonna be the second little square up down here. It'll be this one right here. So we're gonna see where K intersects with an hour and a half. And then that makes us a what diver?
J.
Perfect. Amazing. Does everybody have J?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then our second dive is gonna, or our third dive, sorry. Our third dive is gonna be 44 feet. So we're gonna come up here, and we don't have a 44, so what are we gonna do?
Round up.
Round up to 45. And then we're gonna see where J and 45 intersect, which gives us what two numbers?
83 and 19.
Okay, perfect. So how long can we stay at 45 feet?
19 minutes.
Perfect. Did everybody have that? Didn't have to stand.
Yes, now I realize what I've been doing something wrong in all the problems.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna do some more, just to get some more practice with that. Let's see here. I'm not. Okay.
What was the total bottom time then?
The
Or
total bottom time?
that would be
Here, let me see. Hold on. Get this one. So this is the dive. We just do this one? We just did this one. So it's gonna be G, F, like we said, 72 minutes, and then 19 minutes is your final answer. That's how long you can stay. So if you wanted to get that, you would just take 19 and add it to your RNT if you wanted.
for the third dive, right?
If you were gonna do another dive, but 19 is all that you need to know. That's as long as you can stay down on your third dive at 44 feet. And then 83 would be your new residual nitrogen time. Okay, so we're gonna do another problem like that.
I can't hear anything. Can everyone else hear?
I can hear you.
Okay. So did you just read through those, Maureen?
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm sorry.
It's always good to verbally reinforce what people are seeing on the screen.
Gotcha. So problem G is going to be 100 feet for 10 minutes. And then you're going to do a 20-minute surface interval. And then 50 feet for 50 minutes is going to be your second dive. And then you're going to take an hour and 45-minute surface interval. And then we want to know how long we can stay at 40 feet for our third dive.
How's everyone doing? Done?
I'm done.
Okay. Evie, your camera's off. Are you done? Evie, unmute yourself. Yeah. Are you done? Are you done?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Maureen, you got to check in with people because I might have been done a while.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so what is the longest that we can stay at 40 minutes? Everybody say it. Say what they had.
40 minutes. I mean, yeah.
How many?
50.
50? What did
50
everybody?
minutes at 40 feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you had?
Yeah, 50.
Yay, we all got it right. Perfect. So exciting. Does anyone want to walk us through that? I know we all got it right, but it kind of helps to walk it through it as well.
How about Evie? Let's go with her.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Do I need to show the dive table on the screen?
It's
Or-
okay. If you just kind of walk us through, say it really slowly and make sure we're walking through it with you at the same time, that'll be all right.
So what I did is I went on dive table A, I went to 100 feet and I went out to 12 minutes because that's rounded up from 10 and there's no 10. And I went down and we would be resting for 20 minutes. So I went to the 52 to 10. Or we'd be resting for 20 minutes and I went down to the 52 to 10.
Right. So you were on table B, your surface interval.
And what are your group letters?
We were a D diver and then when we came back down, we were still a D diver.
Okay, perfect.
And then I came out and went to 50 because that would be the next dive.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 29 and 51. So
Okay.
total dive time for the second dive was 79 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to dive table A and I went to 50 to 80 minutes because there's no 79. And I went down and it was a K diver. And I went down to the 237 to 145, which made us an I diver. And I went to the 40, which came out to 85 and 50.
Everybody else do it that way?
Yep. Good job.
Perfect. Amazing. Good job,
Excellent.
guys.
And we're going to pick on the others, so don't feel bad. You were just the pace setter. You got to go first. So
Yeah,
good
you were-
job.
Okay, so this is just explaining everything that she just said. So we all got 50. Good job, everyone. So this is going to be problem H.
And we're just going to go above the line first.
Yeah, just that first. So it's asking us to do a reverse profile. So our first dive is going to be 80 feet for 20 minutes. So the best thing to do with these is to fill out what you know. So if you guys draw, I know I'm not the best drawer, but not an artist, but if you draw out the dive tables like they were in the previous slides, it'll help you. So if we fill in what we know our first dive is 80 feet for 20 minutes, and we know that we do a surface interval of 15 minutes, and then our second dive is 40 feet for how many minutes? So this is just like what we just did.
It's like what we did a while ago before the 3 dive problems. It's just a simple 2 dive problem. You should already have the answer. Everyone have the answer? You guys have the answer?
I think I have the answer.
Evie, you got it?
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, your answers are?
90 minutes.
90 minutes.
Yay.
Evie, yours was 90?
Yeah, I said 90.
Excellent. I can never hear you. Okay, so that's just a 2 dive problem. Now you're going to do the opposite. You see the difference? We're going to start our first dive at 40 feet instead of 80. That's why it's called a reverse dive. So do the bottom part of the problem. 40 for 45, surface interval 15, second dive for 80. How long can you stay?
Everyone have the answer?
I think so.
2, 3, what is it?
7.
7. Does everybody have 7?
7.
Okay, so this shows us why it is so important to do our deepest dive first. Because you see, if you did your deepest dive second, you only get 7 minutes under there. But if you do your deep dive first, you've got 90 minutes on your second dive. Okay, perfect. So this is showing us what we did. Okay, so let's see how to find the surface interval. So with these, you're gonna have to use both hands on the table at one time. Do you guys wanna try it first and see if you can get it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
give him a hint, Maureen. Where is the one hand gonna go and where's the other hand gonna go? And which
The
table?
one hand is gonna be on table A and the other hand is gonna be on table C.
Now, table C is going to be the tricky one. So what do they need to be looking for? And maybe they can answer the question. So you've got the bottom time given to you. So you're going to look at the top number or the bottom number?
Top number.
Bottom time is given to you. Bottom time, so bottom number. Okay?
Okay.
So look at the bottom number on table C and remember that you may need to round up. It's a little more complicated. And then once you find that on table A and table C, you're going to bring them over to table B and find where they intersect. So give it a try.
Does everyone have an answer?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
Answer.
All right, what does everyone have?
5 hours and 17 minutes.
Says 6 hours and 32 minutes. Oh, you want it just the minimum time, right?
The minimum time. We don't want to stay
Okay.
out longer than we have to. We want to get back in the water.
Yeah, 5 hours and 17 minutes is what I got.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Yeah, so always go with the minimum time because why would you spend extra time out of the water if you can get back in, right? That's just the maximum amount until the next letter, but you always want to go with that minimum one. So everyone did it. Good job. Good job, everyone. Yay. Okay, so we're going to try another one. Let's see. So H and then 517. What is your second dive? What number are you? Or what, sorry, what letter?
Weren't we a B?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
It's right there on the screen.
Oh,
On the side. Oh, I'm sorry. I had the people were covering it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You just got to familiarize yourself with the presentation a little more.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay, so let's try and solve this problem. It's the same thing, same idea, and all that.
Read it.
70 feet for 35 minutes is your first dive. Then your second dive is going to be 50 feet for 50 minutes. And we want to know what our minimum surface interval has to be. Does everyone have an answer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
3 hours.
3 hours, 30 minutes. Or yeah, 3 hours, 30 minutes. Almost said 30 seconds.
Evie, did you have that? We all had that?
Yes, that's what I got. I was muted.
Perfect. Oh, that's okay. Perfect. Yay, good job, everyone. Amazing. And then it's H and D. So this is the same thing. You've done it. I think you guys know how to do it, but do it again for me. So it's going to be your first dive is 70 feet for 32 minutes. And then your second dive is going to be 50 feet for 30 minutes.
Here's my fin now. My fin is ready for attention now.
He's so cute.
He is cute. He's a cute little painted cat. That's what he is. Stop it.
Does everybody have an answer?
Yes.
Everybody else? Ready? 1, 2, 3,
10?
10.
10 minutes.
10. Yay, good job, everyone. Perfect. And we're a G and a G, and that gives us 10. So for this one, we're going to write down what we know. Again, let me see.
Oh, Maureen, you blew it. Go back. Okay. You got to get to know these slides better.
I do. No, I do.
You really do. Okay. So click the first line first. And what you're supposed to do is say, all right, first dive is 60 for 70. Everybody look at your dive tables and tell me 60 for 70. All right. So have everyone look 60 for 70. What do you see? What do you have?
What do you guys have?
The maximum is 51.
Uh-oh, right. And then you click the next one.
So what do we need to do? Table A states that the maximum is 51. So what do you guys think that we need to do?
Not.
Table D.
Dummies.
For dummies.
We were a dummy.
Yeah, we were dummies, so we need to use table
Click
D
back,
for
click
dummies.
back. You just gave them the answer.
It doesn't let me go.
Maureen, you really need to get to know these presentations more. Okay? She just gave you the answer, so go ahead and everyone look at table D. Just put it back on the screen.
Did everyone see it though?
They probably did. Just go ahead and show it.
So obviously we need to use table D, and we need to look back here and go, so 60 feet for 60 feet for 70 minutes. And then see on our table, we have a 60 and a 70, and it'll tell us the time to first stop, decompression stops at 20 feet, and then the total ascent in our repetitive group. So we need to make sure the important number is going to be that 14. So we need to do 14 minutes at 20 feet. It's going to be that middle column. So you follow the 70 over to where it says 14, and that just tells you how long you need to stay at 20 feet to decompress. Does everyone understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is kind of showing you the same thing. Got 60 feet, or yes, 60 feet, and then we're at 70 minutes. So we need to take that 14 and do 14 minutes at 20 feet. So let's do this one. without me giving away the answer. So for our first dive, we were at 80 feet and we accidentally stayed for 50 minutes. So how long do we need to decompress at 20 feet?
24 minutes.
24 minutes.
Does everyone understand where we get that from? Okay. Perfect. So 24 minutes at 20 feet. And then this is going to be our next problem. So our dive plan is going to be 80 feet for 25 minutes. And that's going to be on our front table, right? Table A, because that's within our limits. Gabrielle, did I click to the next slide? I'm scared to click further.
Oh, Maureen.
I'm sorry. I was trying to get
Yes, no. So let me set this up for you. So we planned a dive to 80 feet for 25 minutes, but what happened was we saw this really cool whale shark, and we saw the whale shark and we kind of lost track of things. And hey, it can happen. So now click. So we ended up going to 110 feet. Ooh, yikes. So we blew out our tables, and now we need to do table D for dummies. So how long do we need required decompression at 20 feet? And you'll notice that it's 20 feet for decompression dives versus 15 feet for a safety stop. So what do you think the answer is for how long you have to stay at 20 feet if you did this?
14 minutes.
That is correct. Go ahead and click. Did everyone get 14 minutes?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, Maureen, I'm gonna step out for just a minute. I messaged you. You're good. You're good from here. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna send you a text as to which slide to stop at. But the rest of this is pretty. You guys have been through the hardest part of the lecture. Okay, so you can just kind of breathe easy for a moment. And Maureen is going to keep on teaching.
Okay. All right. So dive tables, you guys did an amazing job. I'm sorry, I struggled through those. But you guys did great. So we're gonna talk about a couple other things. We're gonna get back into the boring lecture parts. So special procedural planning. If it's gonna be cold or strenuous, you wanna make sure you use the next greater time. So round up even more, because when you're cold, you're straining, you're going to use air faster, you're going to be a little bit more stressed out on those kinds of things. So it'll make you go through your air a little bit faster. Faster ascent, you want to extend your safety stop for 2 minutes. So let's say you've kind of freaked out a little bit and you started to ascend way too fast. You want to make sure that you stay at your safety stop for an additional at least 2 minutes. If you're going up really fast, you got to be really careful with that. Omitted decompression. So if you do use table D for dummies, you didn't do your decompression stop. So let's say, you were at 110 feet and you didn't have enough air to do your required decompression stop. You have to stay out of the water for 24 hours and breathe pure oxygen during that time. It's really dangerous. So you want to make sure that you're diving within your table limits. And then contingency plans. So if there's a surface down current, if you can't reach the exit, you want to make sure that you have plans for those. So that means coming up with enough air that if there was an issue, you have enough to be able to breathe through that issue. Okay, so using dive computers. There's a square wave dive and an unsaturated multi-level dive, and then here's your safety stop. So some computers will calculate all of this for you. If you kind of stay at one level for a certain amount of time, like longer than, a couple minutes, it'll actually calculate that time and then your other levels. So this is just kind of showing you that dive computers will actually calculate through all of that. So there's a couple different types of computers. Computers are more of something that you use once you get your own gear. So we don't use computers. I mean, you guys personally won't use computers. I have one, and I know Gabrielle has one, but you want to make sure that you know how to use these tables in case your computer isn't working. So don't just rely on computers, make sure that you know how to use these. So like I said, there's a couple types: standard, integrated, and then hoseless. So we're gonna go over a couple, like what that means. So this is what a standard one looks like. This is actually the one that I have, not like the exact one, but I have a wrist computer, and it just tells me the bare basic information. So like how deep I am, how long my dive was, those kinds of things. And then there's advanced computers, which are gonna tell you more of like your maximum time that you can spend down there. It'll tell you your no decompression time. It'll give you, some of them will give you group numbers or group letters. Some of them are really advanced and can actually like really tell you a lot of information. And then there's integrated, which is attached to your cylinder. And that's gonna give you information like how much PSI you have, and those kinds of things, but they're just attached to your cylinder. And then there's hoseless. Those are going to attach to your cylinder, and then you'll wear the wristwatch, and it sends information from your cylinder to your watch. And those are really expensive. So standard computers, they're going to have basic features. So like I said, current depth, no decompression time, max depth, bottom time. It'll tell you your ascent rate. So mine actually beeps at me if I'm going too fast. Have a logbook memory. Some of them don't, but usually they'll remember your last dive or your last 2 dives. And then it'll help you with pre-dive planning, and it can calculate nitrox, actually put, and it'll help you with max depth and bottom time and all that for different mixes of air. And then there's advanced computers. So advanced features, usually they have backlight, they have a larger logbook memory, and like a history memory. So they'll be able to, like, you can go back more than just 2 dives or your last dive. They have a dive simulator. So it'll tell you a simulated dive plan, and then a plan simulator, kind of the same thing. And also some of them you can download the information onto your computer. It'll store it long enough for you to download it, and then you can bookmark things. So air integrated computers are going to have the same features as advanced computers, but they're going to have a more accurate pressure than analog gauges. So on the analog gauges that we use during the class, they're just going to kind of give you a general idea because it's a needle. It's a needle on like a little face, a little card. So with the air integrated computers, they're going to tell you exactly how much PSI you have left. And it'll calculate your air time remaining. So it'll like kind of evaluate how fast you're breathing, how fast you're going through your air, and it'll actually tell you how much you have left, like how long you can breathe. And then the hoseless computers, they're going to include the same features as air integrated computers, but they have a transmitter that's going to send the pressure info via radio wave, and they're specially coded to prevent interference from other hoseless computers. So they're pretty advanced technology. And like I said, they're really expensive. And then there's manual activation. So some of them you have to actually turn on. So press the on button, and then all segments will be displayed, and it'll give you a battery check. And then there's some that are automatic. So they're water activated. So AC is going to be active contacts, and it's going to display the time and date, and it goes to dive mode when it's deeper than 5 feet. So I know my computer personally is a water activated. It won't turn on unless I'm in the water and I'm deeper than 5 feet. But some of them you can check, and they'll turn on the surface. So this is going to be the dive mode display, and this one right here that we're looking at is going to be an air integrated one. and it's going to give you your remaining air time. So it's telling you you have 41 minutes of air time, and it's going to give you your dive time. So it says this person has been diving for 1 minute and they have 41 minutes of air time. It's giving you their current depth. So this person's at 30 feet, and then it's going to tell you your maximum depth. So they can't go deeper than 30 feet. And then that's your no decompression time. So they have 41 minutes of air time left, but if they go over 198, they're going to need to do a deco, which they won't have to worry about because they're going to run out of air before they get to their decompression time. And then that is their cylinder pressure. So you can see how that one is kind of more of an accurate number than what you guys will see, because generally when you give us your times, it'll be more of like 2,500 or, you know, something like that. So this is the dive mode display. Notice how increased depth has an immediate effect on airtime. So going from 30 feet to 60 feet reduced airtime from 41 minutes to 27 minutes. So in the last one that we were looking at, we were at 30 feet and we went down to 60. So it's telling us now that we can only for 27 minutes at the current depth that we're at. And then notice how going deeper decreases the allowable no decompression stop time, which makes sense based on the charts that we've seen. So the ascent rate bar graph, the diver just ascended from 100 feet to 60 feet in less than a minute, and that causes the ascent rate bar graph to fill up. A lot of these computers will beep at you if you're going too fast. So mine will beep at me if it thinks I'm about to go too fast, and then it will beep at me if I'm going too fast. Mine beeps at me all the time. So some of these are very conservative and they will just like constantly scream at you. But if you're going slow enough, then they won't. So just make sure that you're doing, like I said, hand over hand. It's super slow. It's going to be slower than you think. Like if you think that you're going the right speed, go a little bit slower. So if you don't know what you're looking at when you're looking at that face, it's not going to help you at all. If you buy a dive computer from Coral Reef, or if you just buy one on the internet, if you buy a dive computer, you can take it to Coral Reef and they will actually help you learn how to use it if they know how to use it, which most of the time they can help you. If you don't want to go in, you can look up YouTube videos, read the manual if you want to read, but figure out how to use it before you get in the water. So that's the summary. Dive planning, reducing risk for no decompression sickness, nitrogen saturation, dive tables, dive computers, and make sure you're diving safely, dive conservatively, and don't get bent. It's the most important thing.
And bent is a slang term for decompression sickness.
Yes. So,
and Maureen, you can go through this, you know, a little bit quicker,
okay.
Just because I think everyone's probably getting pretty tired.
Yeah.
And I want to get to the schedule.
What slide did you want me to stop at? My phone just died.
No. It's fine. There's not a lot left, but
okay.
You know.
So module 7 is going to be diving opportunities. Scuba educators course, if you can see on the left side, this is everything that you can go through as a recreational diver. So open water is where you guys are right now. The next step would be advanced open water, and a lot of people choose to get their nitrox specialty certification when they do their advanced open water. And then you can go advanced plus and master diver. Now, if you want to go to the leadership level, you see that it starts off with open water and then it goes to dive master. You actually have to go all the way up that recreational side to advanced open water in order to start the leadership side. And then once you go up the leadership, you'll go to dive master, assistant instructor, instructor trainer, which is what Gabrielle is, and then course director. And then there's obviously all the specialty courses in between. Other advanced diving, there's extended range diving, so cavern, cave, shipwrecks, kinds of things. And then for training, you want to make sure you have the proper equipment and the proper experience. So these people have obviously been diving for a while and they know what they're doing. Make sure you're logging your dives. You want to keep track of all of your dives. Keep a record. It's super important. You're going to want to look back on it. I promise you, you're going to want to look back on it. And some resorts actually require a dive log, and they're required for further training. So I know I didn't keep track of my dives because I'm bad. But when I started for my dive master, I had to go back and log every single dive that I have done when I wanted to start it. And it took so long. So if you want to further your training, if you don't want to further your training, either way, keep track of your dives. It's super important. And it's helpful if you're injured while diving so that you can go back and see, you know, what was going on and all of that kind of stuff. And it's fun to reference years later, like I said. So local diving, we do Gulf of Mexico, so Panama City, Pensacola, Destin, and then there's a lot of springs that we do, Blue Grotto, Troy, Manatee, Ginny, lots of others. There's hundreds. River diving, we do Wasissa River. Big Blue is actually in Tallahassee. And then there's the Wakulla River, St. Mark's River, and there's a couple more that we'll do. And then if you want to go East Coast for Atlantic diving, you can go to Jupiter, Deerfield, West Palm, Fort Lauderdale, the Keys, all of that kind of stuff. So a couple dive destinations. This is what you'll see down there. Lots of cool things to look at. Lots of fish. So artificial reefs and wrecks. There's things called bridge spans that are out in the Gulf, and those are what artificial reefs are. Usually they'll sink a structure to create a habitat for some animals. And these are a couple little creatures that you'll see. There's brittle stars down in the bottom right. This is a goby anemone fish. Hermit crabs, night creatures like lobsters, squid, and exciting finds like moray eels. Super, super fun to find. And then dive travel, usually it's tropical kinds of things. Here's another fish, looks like on a wreck. Here's a shipwreck, diver on a shipwreck. Here's some corals, and that looks like maybe an artificial reef. And here's a couple pictures of dive destinations, dive boats. And then for refreshing your skills, make sure that you make 10 or more dives a year. You don't want to lose practice. And then if you do not do more than 10 dives, make sure you take a refresher course if you need it. Subscribe and read to, you know, scuba newsletters, stuff like that. Make sure you're keeping current with everything, and join a scuba club like Scuba Friends, and just go diving as often as you can. And then for career opportunities, if you do take that leadership course, you can work at dive stores, resorts, you can actually teach classes. And then you can also do something called scientific research, and then underwater operations. So that's like salvage and repairs. And then there's also public safety diving, which is going to be like search and rescue kinds of things. And then there's also military diving. And that's mission oriented, and it includes salvage, ordnance disposal, and combat missions. So leadership opportunities, there's the dive master and prerequisites. There's a bunch of prerequisites to enter training. So like current levels that you hold, you have to have CPR certification, stuff like that. And you have to have the leadership prep manual. And then there's assistant instructor, which also requires prerequisites. And then obviously you go up from there to instructor, and they have to do like instructor institute schedules, make sure you have skill and knowledge, and then insurance requirements. And this is SEI's website. That is Gabrielle's website. And then this is the link to Scuba Friends. And dive masters get to work with an instructor or work for a resort, or they get to work as an underwater guide. And you use this as a step towards instructor. And then with assistant instructor, this is where you start learning to teach and increasing your knowledge and skills and step towards instructor. And this is also where you're going to do an internship with an instructor. And obviously, if you're an instructor, you get to enjoy the joys of teaching others, sharing the underwater world with a lot of people, and it's often a part-time job. Usually people don't do this all the time. And you can work at a dive store or be an independent teacher. And transfer of knowledge.
This is referring to the exam. And this will be our last slide, Maureen.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So the study guide are pages 21 to 22 in workbook A. And your score requirements, 80% and above is passing. 60 to 79 requires an oral review. So that's where we'll kind of go over the questions that you missed and then see if we can't.
But Maureen, don't we do that with all of them?
Yes.
Even if they get a 95?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we will do is we will go through each question. Each person will have a chance to read off a question and give their answer. So we'll kind of go in order. We'll go between you three. And one person will read off the question and then give their answer. And if you are the one reading the question and you get it wrong, you have an opportunity to get it right by giving us the correct answer, if you can walk through how to get the correct answer. But that's if you're reading it, and then you can mark it as right.
And you can stop share right now. And I just want to, I want to reassure everybody that there's kind of a good thing about COVID here. If there is such a thing, it is now open book, and I'm going to email you the exam. Mm-hmm. So ordinarily we would meet again, and I would hand the printed exams to you, and you would have to, take the exam right there. But now I'm going to email them to you after we're done with this session tonight. And then you're going to have a chance to figure things out on your own. And then when we come back next week, which everyone has that on their calendar, right? When we come back next week, we're going to do just the review. And now when we do come back, if you have questions that you didn't get a chance to ask, you can ask them in the beginning of our next session before we actually go through it. Okay? Does that make sense? So it's a little different now because of COVID. Same goes for procedures. We've got to be really careful when we meet on Sunday. Everyone knows that I'm asking you to please do the get a COVID test, a rapid test, get it Saturday. And if Saturday's not a good day for you, get it tomorrow, and then agree to isolate. We just can't take any chances with each other, but I have an additional issue that I have leukemia. And so I want to make sure that, that I don't contract it, because people with my kind of leukemia who get COVID have a 40% death rate. So it's pretty grim if I would get it. So I'm just asking you to, out of respect for each other and yourself and me, get tested and be really careful before we meet, okay? Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna ask you to wear a mask on Sunday. So bring a mask with you. So when we're on land, we're gonna wear masks. And we're just gonna be really careful. Some of the things that we do in the pool are gonna be modified. So these are per Divers Alert Network recommendations on how to stay safe with diving during COVID. And you're gonna have assigned regulators with a number. And, we're just gonna be really careful, okay? And it should be fun though. I'll tell you, it's gonna be nicely heated, beautiful pool. Very, very nice pool. The homeowners are great. Maureen, you're going to be there, right?
Yes.
And so that's awesome. Maureen and I will be there the whole time, and Ronnie will be there part of the time. I'm not sure about Bill. If all four of us are there, there's going to be more teachers than students, but that's okay. You're going to get a lot of attention in this class, a lot of attention. And so Maureen, needing to finish up her assistant instructor, the more time she gets teaching is going toward that. And my goal is to get her finished up with her assistant instructor by next month. So you all, thank you for your patience. Please know that when I correct her, it's not out of anything but caring about her and wanting her to be a really great teacher. And part of being a great teacher is just getting familiar with the content. But she really does know her stuff. You can probably already tell that. So she's awesome. Maureen is awesome. And
Thank
so, yeah, so thank you for being here, Maureen. And I did want to look at the schedule a little bit. We talked about doing dives on the 16th. I don't know who all was available. I'm trying to remember who all was available on the 16th. Who was available? Speak up. Okay, just
Nico?
Just Nico?
No, I was just gonna take the day off of work and go because this would be more fun than.
It would be a lot more. I don't know what you do for a living, but it'd be a lot more fun to go diving.
That week I'll be working from home, so it's definitely more fun.
Okay. Okay, so what about you, Edie?
What time would we be diving? Because on the 16th I have school.
What time do you get out of school?
Around 4.
Ooh, okay, that's too late. So it'll be dark at that time. Don't worry about it. We'll make up the dives with you. So if just Brenda and Nico can come, that's fine. So we'll plan on meeting at 1:30. I'll follow up with information. And then Nico, when were you leaving town?
I was planning on leaving the 28th until
Okay.
the 4th to South Florida.
Okay, that's perfect. So I have plenty of time. Do you have Christmas plans or anything?
No.
Okay, so neither do I. So I could dive on the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th, the 26th, or the 27th. So, you just tell me when it's good for you. Now, I like to ride my bike on Saturdays. I like to do a long distance bike ride, so I'd prefer it not to be a Saturday, but let me know what you think.
Okay, definitely. You said either what were the dates?
The 23rd, 24th, 25th, 27th.
Okay.
What do you think?
Definitely. Definitely, I don't want to take the Saturday away from you. I have to see a calendar, and
Okay.
definitely.
Listen, you don't have to decide right now. It's okay. We have plenty of dates to choose from. There is a chance. There is a chance. I reached out to. I'm supposed to go camping. I told you from the 18th to the 20th, and we're going to be camping at St. Andrews State Park at the jetties. And so I messaged my friend and I said, hey, would it be okay if I have some divers? If you want to dive, if I have some people come, I have a feeling she'll say no problem, in which case we could dive on Saturday the 19th.
If you're going to be there, let me know.
I will. Oh, I will. Because
I was like, that's right.
I will. Maureen lives there now. Don't you worry. Yeah. And so, so yeah, that would be fun. And also I'll just let you know as soon as I hear back from her. And if she says, yeah, no problem, let's go diving, then we can do that. And that would be a really fun thing to do. Now, let me tell you, please send me a headshot picture. The sooner you send me a headshot picture, the sooner I can get you processed in the system and get your cards done on time. Okay. So a headshot picture is just like a passport photo with not a distracting background, but you are allowed to smile. I encourage you to smile. No sunglasses, no masks, no hats. Nothing distracting is allowed. Okay. But try to email those to me pretty soon. Certainly by Monday. Okay. So we're going to be in the pool on Sunday. So get them to me no later than Monday. All right.
Okay.
So we will meet on Sunday at 8 a.m. And I can tell you it's probably going to go pretty fast with just 3 of you. So we had planned on a very full day, but I think it's probably going to go pretty decently fast, especially if you're all fairly comfortable in the water. It's going to be intense, so make sure that you have snacks and water, and the homeowner is super nice, so there's a bathroom there. It's a really nice place, but do have, hydration and stuff, okay? If you have a rash guard or anything, if you get cold easily, bring it. If not, I'll bring a couple extras. That should fit all of you, okay? Last time they were able to heat the water warm enough that we really didn't need anything. I typically do wear a dive skin no matter what, because I'm a wimp and I like UV protection, but that's about it. Does everyone have their own mask, fins, and snorkel and boots?
I do not.
You do not?
No.
Okay. Do you need to borrow some, or are you planning to get some, or do you know?
We are planning to go down to the beach and get hours from the beach, so we should have them.
Oh yeah, okay, I forgot about that.
Okay. Okay. And if anyone does not have them and needs to borrow them, just make sure you tell me, give me enough notice and tell me your shoe size and I can pack some for you. All right?
Yeah, because I don't think I have boots that fit me.
Okay, so what do you want? Tell her what size.
What size shoe do you wear?
I wear either an 8 or an 8.5, both work.
Oh, you're a big girl foot like me. Okay, me and Maureen, we're 10s, 11s.
I was about to say, that's tiny compared
Oh, no, but listen, how old are you?
I'm 12.
Okay, so when you were 12, I'm sure you had a size 8, right?
Oh, it was a size 10.
Okay. I took me a little.
5'7".
I was tiny when I was 12 and I had size 8s, and then it was like age maybe 14 or 15 when I got a lot bigger and my shoes size grew too.
No.
So, okay. All right. Now that'll help me remember the number. Do you guys have any questions?
Oh, where can I find the recordings? Because there was 1 or 2 of the problems that I missed and didn't get to put it in the workbook.
Right. So I'm going to follow up with an email after it's done processing the recording for tonight, just like I did last time, and it'll have a link with the recording so you can go through it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And please, if you do have any questions and it's not answered in the, in the video or whatever, you still have questions, just follow up with me or Maureen. You have our emails in the, in the thread there. So just feel free to email us anytime. Like, I have a question about this. Maureen, actually, it'd be really good for her to answer some questions. She's great at answering questions. And I'm normally the one that fields all the student questions. So, feel free to hit reply to both of us and I'll let her tackle some questions. It'll be fun. Okay. Nico, you got a question?
Yes. The pool this Sunday is like roughly 20 miles or like 36 minutes from Tallahassee. Does that sound about right?
It depends what side of Tallahassee you're in.
Okay.
So I'm like probably further away than anyone. I'm probably further away from most people. So yeah, I would just go, use Google Maps or whatever to figure out how far it is. For me, I think it's 45 minutes or so, but I'm way out. I'm by chairs. It might be 40 for me.
Okay.
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 But yeah, try to be on time. That being said, how would you feel if we moved it to 8:30?
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with 8:30 because this says that it's going to take me 47 minutes to get there.
Where do you live?
I live above Bannerman.
Yeah, so you're kind of
an hour. I'm staying at my parents'.
So let's do 8:30. I'm going to change it to 8:30. The reason I feel confident that with only 3 of you in the class now instead of 5, the skills are going to go faster, right? It makes sense. The skills are going to go faster because there's less of you. So as long as, now, have you all been in a pool and had a chance to practice swimming? You ready for the swim test?
No.
Oh, please get in a pool. Even if it's Saturday, get in a pool, practice, because I can tell you that's the thing that's going to hold us up. That's the one thing that's going to hold us up.
The only thing I'm worried about is swimming underwater the whole time.
You got it.
50 feet?
It's mind over body. Please get in a pool and practice. Just practice. Practice your push-offs. Know that this is a private pool, so it's actually going to help you a little bit. You're going to get to do 2 push-offs instead of 1. So when you see that wall at the end of the pool, you just think, okay, all I got to do is push off and go a little bit more. Right?
How much is it, like a pool length and a half?
Yeah, it's about a length and a half.
Okay.
But if you can, get in a pool before we meet. I've been saying this since day 1.
I've gotten into a pool. It's a little bit harder because I use my friend's pool, which is not heated.
Ooh, yeah, that is pretty bad.
I figure if I can do it in that pool, I can do it.
I agree. If you can do it in an unheated pool, it's going to be so easy. Evie, how about you? How do you feel?
I feel okay about it. I don't have access to a pool, but I think I'll be okay at it. I think I'll probably be able to do it.
Okay. I mean, so, there's always the city pools, like Myers Park is one that I really like. That was, if you heard that sound, that was from the pin on the keyboard, my pin. Okay, stop it, dude. Sorry, he's getting out of hand here. Okay, so, yeah, so what were we just talking about? Pools. Yeah, so Myers Park is a really good pool. If you can. Dude.
This is my man's favorite toy. Can you believe it? This tiny thing is this man's big, like, favorite
Aw,
toy.
he's so cute.
This one.
Your
was
son is
watching
cute.
play with your dog. It was really fun.
His favorite toy. This tiny little, he'll like run and get it and he sleeps with it. Like
Aw,
he takes it so delicately,
he's adorable.
so gently.
That's so sweet.
This is the longest lasting toy he's had.
Aw, so does everyone
Right.
have animals? We all have animals? What about you, Nico? No animals. Oh,
No,
you're
no,
missing
no.
out. You're missing out. All right. Well, thank you all for your attention. And thank you, Maureen, for doing a great job teaching. And if you have any questions, let me know. But I'll get back in touch with you if I hear from my friend about Saturday. But it would be, the Saturday after we meet. I think it would be cool, though, if we can dive the jetties. That would be a lot of fun in the ocean. It's going to be a little chilly, but not terrible. Yeah.
I have a question. Do you know when you would be able to let us know, just like for like work?
I think I'll hear from her by tomorrow. She's normally pretty responsive. She hasn't.
Awesome.
Yeah, she hasn't responded to my text yet, but she's probably just hanging out with her boyfriend and not paying attention to her text messages right now. So, but I'm sure I'll hear from her by tomorrow. And then if so, I'll check the tides and we'll plan on that. And listen, if anyone can't make any dives, don't worry about it. I dive all the time. We can always do more dives at any time. So like Evie, if you can't make next Wednesday at Big Blue, we'll do more dives at Big Blue. I love Big Blue. I never get tired of it. And it's right here. So, okay.
Okay, I might be able to make it to that one, but I'm not sure.
Okay, don't skip school for it.
I would look at which classes she has if she has A's in this one.
Okay, that sounds good.
Big Blue's in Wassissa, right?
Yeah, it's really close.
Oh, I've been
So
there.
we meet at my house, and then I'm right on the way. I'm like less than 15 minutes away.
So we would be able to carpool whoever.
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And listen, anytime we carpool, we're gonna wear masks. Okay. We just got to be really, really safe and smart. So far, I haven't had any issues, and I want to keep it that way. All right. I want everyone to stay safe.
No getting sick.
No getting sick. Look at just in our little group here. We had 5 students, and now we have 3 students because of potential COVID. So we want to keep everyone healthy, right? Okay. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.
Nice.